The first thing I saw that morning was the email subject line blinking on my screen. Family dinner this Sunday. I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. The words felt harmless, almost warm. But my chest tightened the way it always does when my family tries to pull me back into their orbit. Outside my apartment window, Los Angeles stretched beneath a soft gold sunrise. The skyline shimmered, the same city where I'd rebuilt myself from ashes. I stood barefoot on the marble floor, my silk blouse clinging gently to my skin as the ocean breeze rolled through the open balcony door. Everything here, the view, the quiet, the safety, I had earned on my own. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from my sister, Lila. Hope you can make it. Mom's been asking for you. I could almost hear her voice, cheerful, entitled, untouched by regret. The same sister who'd spent my entire house fund on a luxury car, then smiled like she'd done me a favor. Back then, my parents told me to just be grateful she's happy. Grateful for losing the one thing I had worked years for. Now, years later, they wanted dinner. And I wasn't sure if I was ready to forgive or ready to let them see just how far I'd come. I was 24 when I started saving for my house. It wasn't much at first, just a few $100s tucked away every month from my graphic design job at a tiny marketing firm in Portland. But every deposit felt like a quiet promise to myself. One day, I'd have a place that was truly mine. My parents had always said they admired my independence, but admiration turned into discomfort once I started making real progress. They didn't understand why I wanted a home before marriage, or why I didn't rely on their guidance the way my sister, Lila, did. Lila was the golden child, smiling, spontaneous, always knowing how to charm a room. When she got her new job at a boutique fashion studio, everyone celebrated. And when she said her old car just wasn't cutting it anymore, my parents nodded sympathetically. I still remember the day I found out. I came home early from work, tired but excited to add another check to my savings account. Mom was in the kitchen, humming as she poured lemonade. Lila stood outside, squealing beside a brand new white BMW parked in the driveway. I laughed at first, thinking it belonged to one of her friends. But then Dad came out grinning. Surprise! Lila finally got the car she deserved. Something in my stomach dropped. How did she afford that? The silence that followed was heavier than anything I'd ever felt. Mom avoided my eyes. Dad's smile faltered. We used the house fund, sweetheart. You're still young. You'll save it again. For a moment, the world blurred. My fingers shook as I set my purse down. You used my house fund? Lila twirled her hair, shrugging. You always said we were family. What's mine is yours, right? That was the first time I felt something break inside me, not just trust, but belonging. I packed that night. Mom begged me to stay, saying, "Don't ruin family over money." But it wasn't about money. It was about respect, something they never thought I'd demand. Before leaving, my grandmother pressed a small silver keychain into my palm, a tiny house charm dangling from it. One day, you'll have your own, she whispered, and no one will ever take it away. That promise became my fuel. Starting over wasn't glamorous. My first apartment in Los Angeles was a studio above a noisy laundromat, where the scent of detergent drifted through thin walls at all hours. The mattress was secondhand, the curtains mismatched, and the only decoration I had was that tiny silver house keychain my grandmother had given me. I hung it by the door like a quiet reminder of why I was here. I worked 3 jobs at once: daytime freelance design work, evenings at a small print shop, and late nights building digital illustrations to sell online. My bank balance barely covered rent, but my pride refused to call home. Every night, I'd whisper, "You'll build your own roof, Emily. Just keep going." My break came unexpectedly. One morning, an email pinged in my inbox from Karen Holt, creative director of a boutique ad agency. She'd stumbled upon my online portfolio and wanted to meet. I almost didn't go. My shoes were scuffed, and my blazer smelled faintly of coffee, but something in me said this was it. Karen was everything I aspired to be: confident, sharp, and unapologetically female in a world that often dismissed women like us. Instead of asking for a resume, She looked me straight in the eye and said, "You've got raw talent, Emily. I can teach skill, but not grit. You've got plenty of that." That was the beginning of my real education. Karen pushed me harder than anyone ever had. I learned to pitch ideas, lead projects, and defend my worth in rooms full of men who barely made eye contact. There were nights I cried in my car after 12-hour shifts, questioning if any of it was worth it. But every small victory, a client's praise, a campaign going viral, stitched a little more confidence into me. Within 3 years, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. I built my own design studio, M and Company. Creative, starting from my apartment and growing it into a team of 5 women. We specialized in branding for female-owned businesses, giving other women the voice I had once struggled to find. Money began to flow, but I stayed quiet about it. My social media showed simple snapshots, coffee cups, sunsets, nothing that hinted at the office I now lease downtown or the condo I'd bought in my name. I told myself I wasn't hiding. I just wanted peace. I didn't owe explanations to people who had never believed in me. Still, sometimes, when I held that silver keychain between my fingers before locking up for the night, I'd picture my family's faces, not out of spite, but longing. I wanted them to see me, not for what I'd achieved, but for who I had become. And deep down, I knew the day would come when they would. The family dinner was set for Sunday evening at my parents' house in Portland, the same one where I'd packed my bags all those years ago. I hadn't been back since. The idea of walking through that front door again made my stomach twist, but curiosity, no, closure, pulled me there. The sky was tinted rose and amber when I parked my car in the driveway. Not just any car, my car. A sleek black Tesla, paid for in full. I stared at the house before stepping out, clutching the small silver keychain in my palm like armor. Mom opened the door, her eyes widening. "Emily, you look incredible." Her gaze flicked over my tailored cream coat, the designer bag on my arm. I smiled politely. It's been a long time. Inside, the house smelled the same, lemon polish and cinnamon candles. Lila was in the living room, lounging on the couch, phone in hand. The white BMW wasn't outside. I'd noticed that right away. She must have traded it in for something newer. "Wow," she said, looking me up and down. "You clean up nice. Still doing those little design things." I almost laughed. Little design things. Dinner started with awkward pleasantries. My father talked about his retirement plans, my mother about her book club, and Lila about her new boyfriend's entrepreneurial dreams. No one asked about me until Dad finally cleared his throat. "So, Emily, how's life treating you?" I set down my wine glass, letting the silence stretch just long enough. "It's been good. Busy, but rewarding." Lila smirked. "Still renting that apartment?" I looked at her, calm and steady. "No. I bought a place in Santa Monica last year." Forks paused midair. Dad blinked. "You bought what?" I nodded. "A condo. Ocean view. Paid in cash." The silence that followed was thick and electric. Mom's lips parted, but no words came out. Lila gave a brittle laugh. "You're joking." "I'm not." I leaned back in my chair. "I also own a creative studio downtown. 12 employees now. We just hit 7 figures last quarter." Their faces were a study in disbelief. Lila's mouth slightly open, Dad's brows knitting together, Mom clutching her napkin like it might anchor her. "You mean you're successful?" Dad asked as if it were a foreign language. I smiled softly. "I built everything from nothing. Every cent, every client, every wall I stood behind when no one else did." Lila scoffed. "You don't have to make it sound so dramatic. We were all doing our best back then." "Were we?" I asked quietly. "Because I remember working double shifts while my house fund disappeared into your new car. I remember being told to be grateful." Her smirk faded. Mom reached across the table, eyes glistening. "Emily, honey, we didn't realize how much that hurt you. We thought you'd bounce back." "I did," I said. "Just not the way you expected." The air hummed with something heavy. Guilt, awe, maybe both. Lila's voice was small when she finally spoke. I didn't mean to ruin things for you. I met her eyes. You didn't ruin me. You just redirected me. I stood, smoothing my coat. Actually, I was going to invite you all to dinner next week, my treat. My office has a private event space. I'd like you to see where your little designer sister ended up. Dad blinked, still trying to catch up. You own an office space? Yes, I said with a gentle smile. Among other things. As I left that night, the wind was cold, but my heart felt strangely warm. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like an outsider in my own story. They'd finally seen me, not as the daughter who lost her dream, but as the woman who built a new one. The following Friday evening, my office buzzed with low jazz music and the soft clinking of glasses. Warm light spilled across the open floor, white walls adorned with framed art, sketches, and campaign boards. The scent of fresh lilies filled the room, my favorite indulgence. My parents and Lila stood near the entrance, looking around like tourists in a foreign country. Mom's eyes welled up as she traced her fingers over the brass plaque by the door. M. and Company. Creative, founder and CEO, Emily Brooks. This place is beautiful, she whispered. Thank you, I said, handing her a glass of sparkling water. It's home in its own way. Lila walked ahead, heels clicking against the polished concrete. So, this is all yours? Every inch, I said. And every late night, every rejection, every sleepless morning that built it. We settled around the conference table, now transformed with candles and plates of catered food. I watched them take it all in. The mural of women's faces on the wall, the rows of design awards, the team photos. My father cleared his throat. Emily, we're proud of you. Truly. I don't think any of us realized how much I was capable of. I finished for him, gently. He nodded. Lila's voice cracked a little. I messed up back then. I was selfish. I looked at her for a long moment. You were. But I also let you take advantage of me because I thought love meant saying yes. Her eyes glistened. I wish I could fix it. You can, I said, folding my hands. But not with apologies. With growth. They waited as I spoke again, calm and clear. I'll help you both, but on conditions. Dad frowned slightly. Conditions? Yes, I said. For Mom and Dad, it's simple. No more guilt trips. No comparing daughters. You start supporting both of us equally, or not at all. Mom nodded slowly, her expression softening. And Lila, I continued. You want a second chance? Earn it. I'll hire you, but as an assistant designer, under one of my team leads. You'll start where I did, from the ground up. No shortcuts, no special favors. Her eyes widened. You'd hire me? After everything? I smiled faintly. If you're serious about learning what it means to build something, yes. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, to my surprise, Lila's chin trembled and she whispered, Okay. I leaned back, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders. This isn't revenge. It's a reset. We can't change the past, but we can decide how we move forward. Dad exhaled, the lines around his eyes softening. You've become someone we should have believed in from the start. I met his gaze, my voice gentle but sure. You didn't have to believe in me. I believed in myself enough for all of us. As the evening went on, laughter replaced the tension. And for the first time in years, it didn't feel like pretending. It felt like peace beginning to take root. The weeks that followed were different. Quietly, beautifully different. Lila showed up to her first day at the studio wearing jeans and a nervous smile. She didn't ask for special treatment, and I didn't offer any. Watching her sit in meetings, taking notes, learning from the same women she used to dismiss, filled me with something I hadn't felt toward her in years, respect. My parents visited occasionally, bringing home-cooked meals for my team, beaming with pride like they were discovering who I truly was for the first time. They didn't offer advice anymore, just presence. And that was enough. One evening, after everyone left, I sat alone in my office, the city lights flickering beyond the glass walls. I opened the small drawer in my desk and took out the silver house keychain. its metal edges worn smooth from years of holding it. I thought of my grandmother's voice. One day, you'll have your own, and no one will ever take it away. I smiled, tracing the charm with my thumb. She'd been right. But what she hadn't said was that the real home wasn't a place. It was the peace I built inside myself. I wasn't angry anymore. Not at them, not at the past. The betrayal that once fueled me had transformed into something far greater: understanding. I had learned that forgiveness wasn't about excusing what happened. It was about freeing myself from it. When I left the office that night, I locked the door, the keychain jingling softly in my hand. The moon hung low over the skyline, silver and calm. I took a deep breath and whispered to the wind, as if my younger self could still hear me. You did it. You built your own roof. And as I walked toward my car, heels clicking against the pavement, I felt the words settle deep in my chest, steady, certain, unshakable. I didn't need their roof over my head, I said quietly, smiling to myself. I built my own sky. Bottom of form.